Hi, this is Ronald Johnson, your life coach, mentor coach. And what I do is I help people that are tired of who they are and where they are in life.
And this is Gloria, your life coach. I help those who are feeling stuck, struggling with difficulties such as self doubt, inner judgment, lack of confidence, life transitions, and taking steps forward.
And welcome to Life's a Shuffle podcast. Now, you may wonder why it's called Life's a Shuffle. And the reason why we came up with this title is that life is really shuffling. It doesn't matter where you come from, your background, what age you are, you're shuffling multiple things in life. And the best thing to know in life is everybody faces your struggles and everybody faces what you're going through. But there's hope in learning something about that. So when our guests share their journey, the hope is you learn something in that journey so yourself can navigate the struggles you face, the low self-esteem, the self-confidence, and that's why we call podcast Life's a Shuffle.
And throughout this podcast, we share our personal overcoming stories, as well as our guests who shares their personal journey in overcoming their personal struggles. Life's a Shuffle podcast is here to connect like-minded individuals.
And thank you for listening to Life's a Shuffle podcast.
Hi, this is Gloria, your mindfulness and meditation coach. Welcome to another episode of Life's a Shuffle.
Hi, this is Ronald Johnson, your behavior mindset coach and positive psychology practitioner. And welcome to another episode of Life's a Shuffle. And it's been a while again since we've done a freestyle. We got to always check in with ourselves. Most people don't understand that, when it comes to life, no matter what you have achieved or not achieved or what you're going through, you need a support system. And by doing a freestyle for us, it allows us to create unity, support systems, bounce off feedback, and just know someone is out there to support whatever you want to do and your dreams, or give you more insight so that way you come better. Because you don't get anywhere in life by yourself. Let's just face reality. You don't get where you need to get. If you go from kindergarten to first grade, you got there because your teacher helped you. You got there because your parents helped you. You got there because the other students helped you, and that simple happens that way. So you don't get anywhere in this life alone, and that's why we do the freestyle so we can check in with ourselves, see what's going on. So for myself, I don't know if I talked about this on the last freestyle, but it's really apparent and really hard for most people to give up an old identity. And for me, it's really hard getting training because I've been doing it for so long. My body looks that way. Every time someone sees me, they think about training. And that was only because my ego or the person of me has been consumed for like 10 plus years. And not just 10 plus years as identity, but also the fact I always wanted this identity. So, as a kid, I would open the Muscle magazine and see this guy with the ripped six pack or big abs, big chest, whatever it may be. I want to be that guy. So when I'm 25, when I first started really getting to the gym, really hiring a trainer, starting to do nutrition and all this stuff, that's all I wanted to be. So, 90% of my life has been consumed with being this person that I dreamed about. Until now, I realized that wasn't about providing me the happiness I wanted. It wasn't giving me the ultimate dream because for a period of time, it provided a level of happiness, then it drops off. Then I got to find some level of happiness again, and it'll drop off, and another level of happiness, and it'll drop off again. And life should really just be about flow. If you're going through life right now and you see this huge resistance in life, check in with yourself. Why is the resistance there? It should be a flow. It should be flowing with energy. So energy attracts like and repels dislike. So something that's become very resistive. If you're trying to work on a relationship or a job, or you're trying to find a job, whatever it may be, and there's a lot of resistance there, ask yourself, okay, why is the resistance there? What steps are missing, or what I need to look at? What about this resistance that is causing me, be honest with yourself, causing me to feel resistive? Is it because I don't like it? Is it because I'm just doing this because someone else is doing it? Is it because I'm fearful if I don't do it, I won't have a level of happiness or security, right? Be honest with yourself about that, because in this case, when I got consumed with this identity was consumed with doing for 90% of my life. Now, what I'm doing now with help people with their strategies, help people with their mindsets, and really digging deep into my superpowers, everything's a flow. No, if you ever looked at my YouTube channel, I have more videos I've shot in a short amount of time than I do in my RJ Health and Fitness YouTube channel. Because now I'm just being the authentic self and I'm creating this flow and it feels so good. And second thing I realized too recently is that in relationships with people, relationships with significant other, and other things, I was accepting a minimum standard. It's really apparent that in any relationships, we tend not to stick up for ourselves. Now, let's be more specific here. It doesn't mean you need to be an asshole of a person. Okay, doesn't mean that, oh, I gotta be this person because if I don't, they're not gonna hear me. What it really is learning how to articulate yourself in a manner where you're not um, you're not sitting there and not executing on a different level. See, if someone makes you angry, you shout at them, right? It's usually because they have hit a button of yours, or you feel like you're not being heard. So one, two things can happen. You're not being heard. You get angry, or you like a clam. You go in. Like me, I go in. Then I get angry. So I go into myself, try to figure out what's happening because I'm upset and I don't want to articulate myself because one insecurity was happening. If I stick up for myself, this person may leave me. So what really happens is that we get angry, we get hurt, and it hits an insecurity. So in this case, sticking up for myself in a relationship has been an insecurity of mine for a very long time. I mean, a long time until just recently. So you're talking about almost 37 years, not sticking up for myself because of fear of being abandonment, fear of not being heard, or fear of losing, right? So what you need to do is realize that's a minimum standard of yours and stick up for yourself, but in a manner where the other person can understand it, not out of anger, resentment. And the worst thing to do is go to your friends or whoever resonates with you. Because of course they're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, 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 Ron, you're not. Yeah, you need to stick up for yourself, or Ron, yeah, you're right, you're right." It doesn't help. And that's what you need to know about relationships: is stick up for yourself and articulate your words in a manner where the other person can actually understand. Because if you come out of anger, they're gonna get angry. Then what happens? Nothing ever gets solved because inherently they have the same frustrations you do. They have the same anger you do in the relationship, and just that time a button was pushed, and that's what happened. So that's my two eye openers: is my identity, which I'm embracing now, feels so good, and the fact now, no minimum standards. Stick up for yourself and articulate your worries, and not just stick up for yourself, but realize sticking up for yourself is just a reflection of the insecurity you have. That's what it boils down to. So until you dig deep in the insecurity or that fear, you will not stick up for yourself. You always go in and obviously blame yourself or blame somebody else, but really blame yourself. Be with your insecurity. It's okay. What about you, Gloria? What's going on?
Um, two things came to mind while I'm listening to you. So first, I'll start off with I guess when you were saying like if how you react to it, then the other person how the other person will react to it. It's almost like saying like I think I was just going over this with somebody. If I'm stressed, I'm stressing the other person out because the way I am, right? So if the other person's stressed, then the other person's stressing me out because then we're not having a decent conversation here. We're not,
Mm-hmm.
we're not meeting in the middle here. I had this conversation with a friend who's having a lot of issues like that because they're not he and the significant other is just not like compromising and just not meeting in the middle. She's not understanding and he's just like I thought but anyways, I thought it's pretty funny because I mean not funny, but it's just interesting because that's how it does boils down to. Like, okay, well, you're not listening to her and she's not listening to you. So what's happening is you guys are stressing each other out, basically. Or she feels like she's already heard you and you feel like you've already said what you needed to say, but she's not really hearing you because she's not trying to understand what you really want. So then you have that one person whose mind is already pretty much set. If that person's mind is set, you got to let that person go because they can't go as in like just let them be, let them process it because maybe for that person it takes more than just like that second for that person to process everything, right? And when they have their mindset, you can't try to convince them and you can't try to make them understand. It's going to have to come
Mm-hmm.
from them to understand that.
And sometimes it takes time to process something.
Well, it really does because not everyone's the same. It may take me like 10, 15 minutes to process and I'm okay and I'm cool with you and I'm fine. I get it. I understand. It may take 24 hours, 48 hours for the other person to process. I do have a friend like that who she takes, my God, she takes days to process everything until she realizes, okay, I was wrong. You know what I mean? Like for me, I can honestly process within 5 to 10 minutes. Then I'm cool. Then I start laughing and I'm joking around with you.
Hmm.
But yeah, and then second is when you said about flow, just let things flow, right? Go with the flow, just let life flow. When I was listening to that, I realized, I don't know if you've noticed. So whenever we introduce ourselves in the beginning of the podcast, we've changed. Our introduction of who we are has changed. You notice in the beginning, I would always say, "Oh, life coach." Then I said volleyball coach. You were saying fitness trainer or fitness coach and then life coach. But just listen to how now who we are, because then you talked about identity, right?
You know what? When you said that, you're right. You say health coach, motivational speaker, life coach, all that stuff. And now, when I say my intro, you go where energy flows,
Mhm.
and now my energy is flowing to not just what I'm saying now, but more importantly, just because I used to say health coach and life coach and motivational speaker, what has transpired in this last year since we first started this podcast is that the amount of exposure and amount of different certifications I've taken, different learning experiences I've taken, it has broadened my horizon, as the old term goes, because now I have more knowledge and more awareness. And I'm also, that's going to change as well, too. So I was working with a content creator, and my new kind of impact statement would be I help high performers that are facing burnout. So I'm basically a strategies life coach, was creating strategies for high performers that are burnt out, creating the life that they dream about. That's 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 my going to be my new impact statement on my social media, like LinkedIn, my website, so that way people understand who I help and how I help them. That's very simple how it works.
And it's more specific.
More specific. It's not broad. Like, oh, I'm Ronald Johnson, life coach. That's very broad. It's not specific. Or as I want to transition out of a new title, if I keep saying health coach, what starts to happen is my mind has already went somewhere else,
But
right?
just listen to how you're saying it. It doesn't feel right for you anymore, right? Because the way your tone have changed when you say, "Oh, health coach,"
Exactly.
like it's
Health.
lower. Health coach. It's
Yes, health coach
changed.
versus, hey, I'm a mindset psychology master practitioner. It's now it's turned to I'm a strategies life coach. And it sounds, if you notice, the energy now is flowed because not only is my mind there, my body is there.
Mhm.
And now
Yeah.
they can work together.
Yeah. So that's what that was one last thing that it really I was thinking about. I was like, wow, we've kind of just gone with the flow with who we are and just the identity you're talking about because it has changed. Like I remember I used to say, "Oh, life coach." And then I added volleyball coach, and I took volleyball coach out. But it wasn't like I said, "I don't wanna say that anymore." It just happened. I just realized I started to say mindfulness and meditation coach.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's funny how everything right now just started happening for you. I mean, the what you want to be identified as and known for has totally changed, and you go where energy flows.
Yes. And it's cool. I like it. Um, so the one I think for me, what I have going on, um, I think the biggest thing is I may have talked about this on our last podcast. So just an update on remember I think I did mention this in the last podcast about my dad. How
Hmm.
now I was able to get in contact with him, so I have contact with him.
I
So
remember that.
things are yeah, so now I'm in constant contact with him, right?
Awesome.
It's it's great. It's a great feeling. In the beginning, I was still kind of like holding back a little bit because, there's still a little bit of like a guard. Like I felt like I still had my guard up a little bit, but I had to think about that. And, I wanted to, I'm thinking, well, this is what I've been wanting for, moment I've been waiting for a freaking long time. Why can't I just let it happen? So the moment I let that guard down and I let it go, oh my God, how did it just flow so well? I'm not going to say that it's perfect. I don't want to say that it's perfect, but right now it's going great. You know what I mean? It's almost like I don't remember how we were before, and I don't remember how our relationship was. So I can't say, I wanted to say like we continue to where we left off because I don't think we're really continuing to where we left off. Right.
Mhm.
And like I said, I don't remember the relationship I had with him. But now it's like, we're in constant contact. And now it's just like we're joking around. He'll send me some jokes, I'll send him some jokes. Or then and at the same time, we're getting to know each other.
Mhm.
What do I like? Who am I? What does he like? What is he into? Who is he? And I think that, I remember I think I told you that one day, you know what? I'm open to like, hey, if he wants to video chat, FaceTime, whatever, I'm open to that, but whenever he's ready. Well, damn, he just did it one day and I wasn't prepared for it because I was half asleep. Because remember, well, because he's in the Philippines. And remember in the
Time difference.
Philippines, yeah, there's a time difference. So I'm just barely waking up like early morning. It's late night for him. And I think he just decided, let me just like video call her.
That's super cool. No, actually, another thing I want to kind of and bring to awareness for now already is once you let go of that resentment or and anger towards your dad, when we had that breakthrough with Dr. Pat, and
Hmm.
probably after working through that up until dad contacted you, it's that the energy that was holding you back is now gone. Like if you try to access that old energy and feeling, can you?
No, yeah, so the good question because I tried.
Hmm.
Isn't I thought it was pretty weird, but I tried to access it just to I think I was testing myself.
Hmm.
Hey, I have to admit, I think I was testing myself. I try to access it, I can't.
Mm.
And this weirdest thing is remember, and I've said this so many times on the podcast, and it's in my story that I have this hatred for him. I hate to say the word hate because it's such a big word. And it just it's too much, right? But that's how I felt growing up. Like I hated him. I was angry all the time and I could not, like just sometimes hearing his name or, I couldn't even imagine. But after that, like letting go, I can't access that feeling. And I really tried. And that's what I'm saying is that's probably why I had my guard up a little bit still because I'm testing myself maybe. But with the moment I let that go, that's it. So I really don't. I can't access that feeling back. I can't say, God, after all these years, I just want to be mad at you, but I can't. Like, I even want to like try to say, well, what happened to you? I can't. It won't come out. And then I realized, well, why am I doing that? What am I going to do that for?
Hmm.
What is that going to do for me?
No, you just hit the nail right on the head for me is Einstein said we're the past, the present, the future all at one time. I've been now for the last couple of weeks, almost a month, I would say, at least trying to access that old Ron Johnson, that, competitive bodybuilder, gym, training hard, going heavy, going loud. I can't. And when you reflected back at me just right now saying what I was feeling, and what happens is a part of me still holding on to that. And a part of you still holding on to that. If you're trying to access your feelings, it means a part of you wants to, hey, is this really real? Is this really happening? And holding to an old feeling. So after you said that, I told myself, I'm just gonna let go.
Hmm.
Whatever those feelings were, whatever what was, I'm not gonna access the past because I can't go back to that. Whatever that is, I am in that right now. But what I'm gonna access right now is what's happening in the present moment.
Yeah.
So me, my ego, and I'm ego is trying to access. Oh well, remember? Are you sure you want to be this? Are you sure? I'm just gonna let that go now.
Yeah.
And by you reflecting back at me, because we're all reflect a mirror reflection of ourselves. So we meet somebody, a mirror reflection of us. You're a mirror reflection of me, even though we're
Hmm.
telling two different stories.
Hmm.
I'm gonna let that go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let that mirror reflection go because I'm just gonna access the present moment. This is
Yeah.
present. Where I
Yeah.
used to be or who I was, yeah, you know what? I'm that person here. I mean, that did serve a purpose for me at that moment, and I still enjoy going to gym, working out. But I'm gonna access the present moment right now, whatever that is. The present moment right now is
Mhm.
go with the flow. Present moment now is doing this podcast. Present moment is creating the life that I want for the future. So I'm in the past, present, and the future all at once. So if I want to be somewhere in a certain amount of time, I got to create those feelings now.
Yeah, exactly, and that's exactly what I did, with, this, starting over or whatever, this relationship that I'm starting or trying not trying, but just kinda going with the flow with my dad, and
Hmm.
going with the flow and just when the moment I let that go, I put my guard down. Now, although I didn't have my guard all the way up, it was just, like, kinda halfway, right? But because I had that because I was still trying to access the old feelings. And
Mm.
I'm laughing at myself now when I think about that, like, why was I even doing that? But anyways, yeah, so the moment I let that go, it's just going with the flow with him now. It's cool. I like it. I don't wanna say we're starting all over again or whatever. It's just this is where we are. Let's just focus on this present moment, who we are now and where we are now. And I don't have to talk to him about that, but I think he gets it and I think he sees it.
He does.
Yeah,
And you see it
yeah.
too.
Yes, and I want him to feel comfortable, and, I don't wanna make him feel uncomfortable, right? So just make him feel comfortable, like, "Hey, this you can joke around with me, you can send me jokes, we can laugh about this," and although there's some things that he tries to access, and which I think it's so funny, but, like how it was in the Philippines back in the '80s or '90s, he sends me, like, music, songs, all this cultural stuff, and I told him, I get those. I've learned some history and some culture of the Philippines. He's like, "Oh, do you remember all this?" I said, "Yeah." But I thought it's funny and I thought it's cute because you know what I've realized is he's not getting any younger. He's getting older. I don't know how many more years he's going to have in this earth, right?
Hmm.
I just want to now just savor the feelings now
Hmm.
and just really enjoy what I've been longing for so many years that I may be in my 40s now. Hey, people still have those feelings. The little kid in us still comes out. You know what I mean? Um, and I'm understanding that, yeah, I do have siblings. Do they want to meet me? I don't know, but I've been asked. I'm open to it.
Hmm. Taking the positive psychology certification, they have a term. I forgot the first module. What's her name? I think it's Barbara Fredrickson. I think I could be wrong, but the theory behind positive psychology is a broaden and build, and behind broaden and build is savior. What happens is we tend not to savor those moments. We tend not to savor the small moments. We tend not to savor the big moments. Our inherently we only look for the big moments to say, "Oh my goodness, I finally did it." But it's about savoring the small positive moments along the way. By default, our body energetically wants to either one, fight or flight. So inherently in that fight or flight, we will always tend to give more power to anything that happens to us we deem negative or bad, whatever that is for us, right? Everybody has a different philosophy of that or a subjective opinion. But if we notice throughout life, we tend to focus on those more intensely. If we focus on savoring the small positive moments in our life, we will actually get more positivity instantly. It's like adding a little bit of salt to your steak or to your vegetables, whatever it is. It gives a little more better taste, right? By savoring these small moments of positivity, you get a better taste in your mouth. What starts to broaden and build formula. So the more you savor this, it's like no difference than those that I have a victories journal or those that have a journal with journaling every day, all the accomplishments they did for that week or that day, what it does is starts to broaden and build to savoring those moments.
Hmm.
That's what you're doing right now. You're doing the format they call broaden and build, and you're savoring those elements of right now. I mean, because what you can't do nothing about the past. What you can do is savor those small elements and giving more power to positivity versus more power to the negative,
No, yeah,
whatever that is for
exactly.
you.
And I really have. I tried, but I didn't try very hard. I think only because I've asked myself some questions, and I've been asked by some friends, "Look, are you going to ask him?" Are you going to ask him what happened? You know, what happened those years? How come this and that? I said, you know what? I would like to have answers to that, but I can't feel it. Like, I just don't have this feeling of, I want to ask him that because I can't access that feeling. And do I care about what it is or what the answers were? Not really. At this point, it doesn't. I don't mind it if I don't ever get any. If I don't ever get any of my questions answered, I'm okay with it because now we talk about focusing on the present. And I think I've gotten to that point where my feelings, I'm more happy if I'm more present and just focusing on where we are right now. Because accessing that and trying to get my answers, my questions answered, it's just not, it's just not there for me. Like, whatever, if it's whatever it is, I'm sure he has his reasons. And, yes, I'm a little bit curious, but I try to weigh it, like the pros and cons, which one weighs more and which one is weighing less. So what's weighing more for me is focusing on the present, this present moment that I have with him, and just savoring that, savoring
Hmm.
every moment, savoring every text, every messages I get from him. It's just the little things. Hi, good morning. I know it's already morning in the US. It's late night here or it's afternoon here. Okay, I'm getting ready to bed. I'm getting ready to go to bed. I'll catch up with you. And then he'll send me something. It could be prayers because he's very into um his religion. We're Catholic, right? So he's a very religious person. I'll get some prayers for him from him, let's say early morning prayers. That's fine. He'll send me videos or a screenshot of him chatting with his friends and they're doing this thing online. He's part of an association of a group. He's sharing that with me. That's fine. So all these little moments, all these little things, I find it funny. I find it cute. And I'm savoring all that every moment I have with him. And I hope that one day if he listens to this and he hears this, he knows and that this is how I'm feeling.
Mm. Look how much growth has been in your voice so far.
Yeah, I just want him to know now and want him to feel that I have no anger at all. I have no hatred for him at all. Because I know there was hesitations and resistance in the beginning because he's trying to get to see how I feel.
Hmm.
I don't have to want to tell him, look, I don't hate you. You know what I mean? Crying out loud, you're my father, you're my blood. So maybe all those years that I thought I hated you, I really don't. Maybe I do love you, but I couldn't show you.
Mm. That's a lot. That's a very mature way to look at it. Inherently, we always want to find reason for what is instead of experience what is. So you're used to people ask you, "Oh, how does that? What happened before? What is? What is? What is?" I don't know
Hmm.
what is, but I know what is now, and I'm going to focus on what is now because that's the present moment.
Yeah, I just tell them, you know what? I just tell those people who ask me questions like that. I said, I don't care. And I've been asked questions like, what do you mean you don't care? Don't you want to know what happened? I mean, where was he all these years? I mean, like, what was he doing? I said, I don't care. Like, I really don't care. But I mean, what's there not to understand? And I get it. So people may not understand how I'm feeling. Only I know, only I understand how I'm feeling. But you can't convince me and you can't keep asking me, like, what do you mean you don't care? Don't you want to know this? Don't you? I do want to know that. But it's not, it just doesn't matter for me. Do I want to waste my energy on that? Do I want to waste my time on that? Do I want to waste the time that I have with him now on that? No, I don't.
Mm. Wow, look at that! Look at that mature voice and that conscious awakening.
It's crazy,
How
huh?
inherently you want to
I'm
waste
feeling it. Can
here.
you feel the power through the microphone?
I can feel the power. I feel all the energy. You make me think about, I talked about how abusive my stepmom was. And one day I just thought to myself, I do a lot of thinking. And I said, at one point I had a lot of hatred for her. And I probably still do. This is be honest with each other. There's some questions I've answered, but what I never know is the other side of the coin. So I thought to myself, if one day she called me out the blue, or she messaged me or sent me an email, would I entertain that conversation? Or would I tell her to F off? And I probably would entertain that conversation. Now, entertain it because I want to get more clarity and understanding. Why? And then that's just my personal thing. But the point I'm trying to make is that we hold on to these old feelings and anger, and in the end, it only hurts you. And if she
Mhm.
was to reach out to me and email me or contact me, I would say, "Hi, how you doing?" Because if I'm doing all this work, changing myself and changing the people around me, I got to do the work. You got to lead by example. I can't say do this, but I'm not doing it myself, and I don't live with integrity. So she would contact me. I would definitely have a conversation with her, and I'd be open to it. Um, because I never maybe So here's the thing we have to realize is that we didn't know why a person did what they did until we asked a question. So why she was that towards me, I would never know, and I can only create assumptions.
Right.
But I gotta ask them the question to figure out why. And that's the bottom line. We create all these assumptions and projections and opinions in life. We never ask the question. We just
Mhm.
never ask. Well, we assume this is what it is or whatever happened. But we ask the questions, we get the answers we're seeking. But if we don't ask the question, we will never get nothing. That's just the
Exactly.
reality.
No, it's true, and that's exactly what I did growing up. I mean, just to give a little bit of info here. So my dad was, in and out of my life the first 12 years of my life, as far as I can remember. And as far as I can remember, if he wants to see me, my mom would have they would have a meeting spot. It's kind of like we're trying to hide, right? So that we would have a meeting spot. He just needs to take a glimpse of me. And I could still picture this right now where it is, where we would be across the street and he's on the other side of the street, just so he could look at me and say hi to me and wave at me. That's how he would see me. And it was just always trying to hide. And I know there's more to that, but you're right. We never ask questions. I never asked questions. So I never knew what exactly happened between my mom and my dad, how it got to that point to where I got a little bit of information why he can't see me, or why, there was something there. He had to see me like discreetly, right? If he wants to see me, he wants to say hi to me, it had to be that way. But I never asked, and I never asked my mom. To these days, I don't ask my mom. And I know my mom would tell me, but I think also, as far as I can remember, some people was just trying to be protective of me. They don't even want me to know what happened. But I had a grandfather who really made me feel like, who made me feel that father figure for a little bit of time until he passed away. But he was there. He wanted me to feel like I had a dad growing up. The first 12 years of my life, it was like that. My dad was in and out. And then after that, I don't know what happened. So 10 years later, here he comes again. He pops in. So it was always pop in and out, in and out. So now in the past over 20 years, that's the longest time I really had no contact with him, to where I didn't know where he was. I don't know if he was still alive or not. But I did look for him, and I asked some people around my family in the Philippines. Now here he is, right? So yes, there's a lot of questions that I want answers. Yes, there's things that I want to know what happened. What was the real story? Because I want to hear his side of the story too, right? But I'm sure it matters. Yes, it does matter. And I could feel it. It does matter to me at the same time. But what really matters to me the most now is what I have with him now. Because if I go back to the past and if I start asking those questions, what is that going to do to us? How is that going to make me feel? Because I try to access those feelings of like, I'm so mad at you. What happened to you? I can't. So I'm just going to go with what I have right now and go with the flow, because this is where I'm at. This is where my feelings are, and I'm happy with the present. So why I try to access the past?
You know what? Because the past will hold you hostage if you continue to keep accessing it.
Right. But like you said, when you every time you try to keep accessing, it's just not happening, right? Because that means it's just no longer there. You're ready to let that go, or you've
Yep.
already let it go.
It's been filled by something else. It's a hole that was there that got filled over, which you can't see there was a hole.
Yeah. And you're just trying to access it because you were thinking to yourself, and which I understand that, that was me. That's so weird. Why can't I,
Hmm.
because that was you before. So you're thinking, how is it for me to just, how is it that I can just let that one go? That was so me before.
What happens is that we tend to play these stories in our head. And once we cognitively realize the stories are just things we created, and once we overwrite those stories with something else, like a new story, change your story, change your belief. You had a story you created, whatever the story was, and now the new story has been overwritten with something else. You can't no longer access that old story because it doesn't exist anymore.
Mhm. So that statement goes, change your story, change your life.
Change your story. And that we can't wait to get those new shirts, right? New shirts to start promoting that out there. So, you know what? I hope you guys learn something from our freestyle and learn something how we're just human beings having a spiritual experience. Sorry, spiritual people having human experience. Get my word context there. But we go through the same things everybody else goes through. We're no different than anybody else out there. And I hope you guys understand that is a fact. No one's better than anybody else. If we really come together more, we will actually help each other better. But if we always want to kind of have comparison or label somebody as this or that, or create these subjects, no one's perfect. No one's perfect, and no one, everybody's gonna make mistakes, and everybody's just learning. And that's just really about life. I hope you guys love listening to another Freestyle Thursday. And if you want to be a special guest, go to www.lifesashuffle.com. Put your name in there, put your email address. Gloria and I will respond. Let's get you on here. Let's discuss your why story. Or if you're kind of unsure, go to our Facebook group, Life's a Shuffle, and listen to our most recent episodes. They're there, they're listed, and they're ready to be there for you. It may not be this episode, maybe another one, but these episodes are about real people, real experience, and may be able to help you through a circumstance you're facing right now. This is Ronald Johnson, your strategy life coach, and thank you for listening to another episode of Life's a Shuffle.
And follow our Facebook group, Life's a Shuffle. And also, we have monthly workshops that we host every month, and it is a free workshop. We do guided meditation, and every month it's a certain topic. It will be posted on our Facebook group as well as other social media platforms. So just follow us. Again, this is Gloria. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Life Stage Shuffle.